So today I sat down to work on a video for you about how to have a $10,000 launch. How do you come out of the gate with $10,000 in sales immediately upon your launch date? I got caught in my head while trying to map this out for you because I know that most of you aren't going to do any of it. Most of you are going to hear it and process it logically, and you're not going to do anything with it. And even if I give you the step-by-step plan, like do this first and do this second and do this third, all you'll do is go watch a bunch of other videos from me or from somebody else, and you'll never actually go and do the work. And so I feel this tension between where I can tell you exactly what to do, and yet I know that you won't do it. And the reason why I know that you won't do it is because most people, entrepreneurs, hardworking, faithful, dedicated entrepreneurs are creating businesses from this position of trying to make money because they don't have enough, rather than creating something that they know will impact somebody else. And that is so almost trite and cliche, and like I don't even like that I have to tell you that, but that perspective, those two different perspectives actually determine whether or not you will do the tactical things that I will share with you in this video. Because the punchline of this video is that if you take the audience that you've built, that I talked about in part 1 of this series, which is just about audience building and getting people ready to hear from you, and then you put them on an email list, and then you do like a 10-day launch, you'll have a $10,000 launch. And then if you partner that with a channel like Amazon.com, you'll get to 25 sales a day. And then you do that 4 times and you'll have 4 products doing 25 sales a day at a $30 price point, you have $1 million business. Like it's that simple. And I feel stupid just coming up with a 15-minute video that explains that process when I know that after you hear it, you're still not gonna do anything with it. And so instead of going into the nuances of exactly how to structure this launch, just build an email list using the audience that you built. And guess what? You probably aren't gonna do any of that either because of these two perspectives. The perspective of, am I getting into business because I'm trying to extract value, or am I getting into business because there's some part of me that I want to share, because there is something in the world that I want to create that I know can be better. And that difference will simply determine whether you do the actions or not. And I know, because if you're coming from the position of, I need to make money, then you have watched a dozen of my videos and 6 dozen videos by other people about how to make money, rather than doing the work to build a business that makes money. One perspective is an extraction mentality. What do I need to do in order to pull money from the economy and into my pocket so that I can feel safe, and then later I will create the business that I actually want? While the other perspective is more, I am going to punt what I get out of this, and I am just going to humbly serve the people that I know I can help. And as a result of doing that, you will make money. I am thinking of an example right now of one of our students. His name is Mark Cuda. And Mark has put his heart and soul into a business that just launched, and he did a $25,000 launch. And rather than explain the nuances of what he did, I want to talk to you about the way that he did it. And the way that he did it was to treat every single customer as though it was someone that he could help. And every single person who commented on a piece of content as if it was somebody that he cared about. And every single person that opted into his email list, he saw as a potential raving fan who he could help in their life. And the reason why he was able to take that perspective was because his customer was someone like himself. His customer was someone who struggled with a similar pain point as he used to struggle with. And because he struggled with it and created a product that he genuinely wanted, he knew the impact that it would have on someone else. This is why I don't preach the same things that other people preach about finding low competition markets or finding products based on data. because most people will see that in the marketplace and they'll think that's the trick, that's the way, rather than saying, I am bringing about some sort of change to someone else that I believe in so much that I am willing to do the effort required in order to show up in front of those people. Now, the weird and ironic thing about this is that when you take that approach, your email conversions go way up. Your Amazon conversions go way up because you're actually speaking to somebody else rather than talking about something, which is a product. This is also why documenting the process in your content is so incredibly valuable, because we're not talking about how great this other thing is. We're showing the process in which we are becoming the entrepreneur. We are connecting with other people that are seeing something in you that they see in themselves. Hard work, drive, a dream, and we relate to those things. This is how we actually build audiences. Now, I can only speak to you about things that I have struggled with and overcome. And so the idea of putting yourself out there in service to other people when you feel like you have nothing genuine to offer, I can only comment on that because I've felt that way in the past. I also became an entrepreneur because I didn't think I had enough money. I also became an entrepreneur with a mentality of trying to extract rather than to create. I just noticed that every time I extracted, I felt like crap and my long-term results suffered. And there were times in which I would follow short-term hacks or I would do things for the money that worked in the short term. But long-term, I ended up burnt out and looking for the next opportunity. How many times have you done that in your career? How many times have you pursued something short-term and had hope of the solving of one problem, and then got bored or distracted or frustrated or burnt out, only to go back to what you think is going to be the next thing that solves this short-term problem, the short-term problem of cash flow or not enough money. And so when I tell you the things that you need to do in order to build a long-term business or a 6 or a 7-figure business, you can't even hear it because we're so focused on the short-term problem of cash flow and money. How long has that been a problem? How long has that kept you from being an entrepreneur? I mean, a real entrepreneur, someone who is building something that is bigger than just something that creates cash flow for you. This is why in my content, the first step is always choosing a customer, choosing a who that you target. When you know your who is it that I am speaking to? Which, by the way, is almost always yourself. Some version of yourself that you were at one time, the person that you were 5 years ago who was struggling with a problem. That's who most of us are trying to talk to when we create a business and we create a product that's in service to somebody else. It's really ourselves. That is why it's step one, because when you can connect with a person, then all of a sudden, when someone comments on the content that you do create, when 5 people join your Facebook group, when 9 people follow you documenting your journey on TikTok, when 7 people give you their email address, when 4 people buy, you're thankful for that, rather than thinking about the 900 people that you wish had opted in or signed up or followed that didn't. The way you have a $10,000 launch is by remembering that every single person that raises their hand and says, I'm following your journey, or I am trying your product, is a person on their own journey. And the really beautiful irony of this is that when you can connect with a person on the other side of your journey, that person also knows other people. And those people know other people. And those people know other people. And it becomes a chain effect that happens. We've all experienced this in our own lives. We've been affected by a cause or a video or a brand or a product that we shared with other people, that shared it with other people. And yet we forget about that in our own lives as entrepreneurs. And we think about, what do I need to do in the short term to have a $10,000 launch that doesn't include me connecting with other people and caring more about them than I care about making the sale? And yet when we connect with the person who's on the other side of the transaction and they enjoy the customer experience or they see themselves in your content. It doesn't matter what the product is. It doesn't matter what happens on the other side. They end up telling other people who tell other people, and word starts to spread. This is why when your intent is to serve another person, you can enter into competitive markets. You can have 5 and 6-figure launches, and you're one person away, you're one connection away from everything that you ever wanted. You're one connection away from the influencer raising their hand and say, hey, I've got 15,000 people on an email list. I'd love to send this out. You are one agency away from them saying, I love your stuff and we'll lower our rate to work with you because we really like what you're trying to do in the world. Or you're one customer away from them saying, I loved your product so much, I want to send you a video testimonial. I love how you interacted with that person. It is about that connection with the person that you are trying to serve that gives you that momentum that carries. Now, what does this have to do with having a $10,000 launch? Has everything to do with having a $10,000 launch. Because when you have that mindset going in, you end up building much higher response rates. You end up building an email list of 500 people and 200 of them buy. I have a friend who he actually has a product called Tiny Little Businesses. And his thesis behind Tiny Little Businesses is he builds 500 to 1,500 person email lists with extremely high engagement rates. And then he launches products to them and does 6 figures to each one of them. And he crushes affiliate launches because he has so much connection with his audience, even though he only has maybe 1,000 followers. We so often in this scarce thinking, in this thinking of lack, we think about what we don't have and what we need to do in order to get more people to listen to us, rather than caring about the people who are already showing up. And as a result, we try to over advertise, or we over market, or we try to get our copy perfect, or we try to optimize every little thing rather than saying, fuck all of that. I care about the people who are here and who's showing up, and I want to ensure that they have an amazing experience, because what I created this for is for this to have an impact for them. But most of us don't even think about that when we're creating the product. We don't think about that when we're creating the content. We don't think about it when we are running the advertising. We're thinking about, hey, it looks like someone else did this over here and it's working for them, so I'm gonna copy that so that I can get the end result, which makes me money in the short term and solves my immediate fear. My immediate fear of running out of money, my immediate fear of looking bad, my immediate fear of things not working out, of looking like a failure. And so we actually prioritize the fear, and we prioritize trying to extract rather than to create. And this is why you've been stuck for so long. This is why you have been running in circles for so long. This is why you haven't had the success that you want. Because you are running this thing over and over and over in your mind about not having the success that you want. And since you're running that over and over and over in your mind, you show up with this false version of yourself, this false version of your business, and this false message about what you are trying to do in the world. And of course, when I say you, I actually mean I. I am doing that. I do that. And that's the part of myself that I work to overcome by creating content all the time. Because I've experienced the glimpses of what it feels like to be in true service to someone else. And the irony is, I know that when I speak and give from that place, it doesn't matter what I get out of the experience. I actually do the giving, I do the service in and of itself. Because I feel good after I create value for someone. I feel good after I connect with someone. I feel good after I help someone. And business is actually the process of being able to sustain that type of service to someone else. And entrepreneurship is the process of the undoing of everything that you selfishly want so you can get to the point where you can selflessly serve. And once you can selflessly serve, then the marketplace rewards you with money to be able to sustain that service. This is the beautiful irony of capitalism. Everyone thinks that capitalism is about people taking from other people, but the process of capitalism itself is the undoing of the ego that prevents us from showing up and selflessly serving one another. And only by doing that does the marketplace ever give us what it is that we want long term. It is actually by letting go of what we say that we want in the short term that allows us to get what we want in the long term. It is by us ending the ego in the front of us trying to trick one another or market one another or convince one another to do anything that people actually feel like they can trust us enough to buy from us. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't it amazing how entrepreneurship unearths that in us and brings us to the surface? And it's why I say entrepreneurship is the greatest self-development program ever developed. It is better than Tony Robbins, it's better than Scientology, it's better than all of them. Because entrepreneurship is the test of how much you can show up humbly and serve another person and then do the work required to ensure that that process is sustainable. So the only way that you ever get the profit or the momentum that you want in your business is to first drop the attachment that you have of the result in the first place and know that the only way that you will get what it is that you want is if you prioritize the service of the other person. And you will never know what that service looks like if you don't know who the person is or you don't have the intent to create value for someone else before you get anything. You will never create content and build the audience if you are not first thinking about the value you can bring to someone else. You will never launch the product if you are first not thinking about how it can impact someone else. You will never do the work required if you do not see its value in the world. Instead, your brain will trick you and self-sabotage you into thinking you are not good enough, that you are not ready, that you don't know enough, or that there's a better market out there. First, the intent has to be to create and serve someone else. Then you can actually do the work to build the audience in the first place. And then it doesn't matter what your copy is or what your strategy is, you'll be in the position to have a really profitable launch. Because the only trick to having a really profitable launch is to be able to capture those people, capture is such a weird word at the end of this video, but to be able to put those people into one place, like an email list, and to document the process of the launch and give them a buy link. And then ask them for reviews and testimonials if they found value in the product so that you can put that on social media that connects with other people who are like them and to put it on Amazon reviews, which persuade other people who are like them to trust the product. That's it. And when you do that process, you end up building the business that you actually want. You actually build the business that other people can't connect with. You build the business that everybody looks at and says, I wonder how they did it. I will copy them. And now they are trying to imitate you, but they can't because you actually care about the other person. When you're operating from that place and you're thinking about the person, it's easy to have 4 products that get to 25 sales a day at a $30 price point. In fact, Mark, who I mentioned earlier, is selling a product that his competitors are selling for $30 or $40 and he's selling it for $80. Why is he doing that? Because that profit margin allows him to serve better. That profit margin allows him, frees his mind to think about actual service to the person. See, so many people are thinking about how do they sell volume, and so they're always thinking about the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one, rather than thinking about what do I need to charge in order for me to relax into serving and being present with every person who knocks on my door. Because most people don't even charge enough to be able to silence the voice in their brain that says, not enough money, not enough money, not enough money. So you can't even be present with the customer. You can't even pause to think about, is this product excellent for the customer? Because you're thinking about what the next thing is that you're gonna sell to try and solve that voice in your brain. If you can quiet that, if you can be humble enough to realize that your only job is to connect with and help someone else, and that your job is to think about how you can do that in a way that is sustainable, that doesn't require you to be grinding all of the time, that doesn't require you to be burning yourself out, that doesn't require you to lose money. And you can think about doing that sustainably. Then the first step is to communicate who your product is for and how you help them. And then the next step is to put yourself in a position to gather those people that you can help onto an email list so that you can engage with them. And then the next step is to tell them that the product is getting ready for launch. And then the next step is to give them a buy link that is as simple as possible so that they can click to order and have it sent to their house. And then the next step is to be really good to those customers so that they tell other people like them about you and your product. And then the next step is to ask them to take that feedback and to post it publicly in the form of a review so that you can share it on social media, or that they can convince other people to test the product that they know can help them. And then the next step is for you to amplify that good work to other people in the form of advertising or relationships or a second product launch and a third product launch. That's how it goes. And when you can do that in a way that actually matches the value you want to bring to the world, then this is the most enjoyable, exhilarating experience ever, because it feels good to be in service to other people. It feels good to connect with other people. It feels good to create value for other people. That's when entrepreneurship doesn't require you to run away because it fuels you, it energizes you, it excites you. And you can do it at scale and have that 7 or 8 figure business that maybe you never want to sell. Maybe you never want to get rid of it because you're so proud of what it's done in the world. That, my friends, is how you have a $10,000 launch. I'm Ryan Daniel Moran. I help entrepreneurs build 7-figure businesses that they can sell. And if this calls your name and you're like, I get it now, we are doing a sprint inside of our community called the 1% that is all about setting yourself up for a profitable product launch. We'd be honored to have you. You can apply for a spot at capitalism.com/1. If you found value in this video, please let me know in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.
That was like the best video in a really long time.